Howdy everyone. So I've moved on now to doing some vinyl on the fuselage, and I'm not going to go into it very deeply just because it's just more vinyl. It's really no different than what I've already showed you on the wings and the tail surfaces. So all I'm doing now is putting some white along the bottom. I have the tail temporarily installed just so I can get my cut tape to flow from the fuselage onto the rudder. I wanted that to be a smooth transition. Now that I have that figured out, I can take the rudder off. But that's the only reason why I had this on. I just wanted to get that transition between the two to be smooth. I had modified the bottom of the rudder fairing. You can see it here. I had made the fairing originally came down like this, and of course it interfered with the tail wheel spring. So I had cut that off and did what I had done with everything else fairing wise, as far as putting the foam and the epoxy and stuff. That just got painted. It was going to be way too difficult to try to wrap it and get the corner and get up and around the light. So this is just painted, and then I've got my cut tape. That's where the black is going to come down, and then the transition from the rudder to the fuselage. And now I'm just fitting the white along the bottom. This is the left side that I'm working on now, and I'll talk about the right side when I get to it. But again, just more of the same. Cut tape, sharp knife, scissors. That's about it. So I'll finish this up, this left side, and then I'll come back and I'll talk a little bit about what my plans are for the right side and how I'm going to tackle that. All right, talk to you guys later. Howdy everyone. All right, so like I've talked about before, here is the vinyl along the bottom of the fuselage. And what I have done, after I cut this out, the top portion, the leftover scrap piece that was left, I use that on the other side as a template, so I can lay out this side to be a perfect match to the other side. So here is the vinyl scrap from the other side, and I just took it off. I took it off of the left side after I cut it with the cut tape, and now I've brought it over to this side and stuck it on the fuselage using tape. The sticky side of the vinyl is facing out now, and using various rivets along the way, I was able to position this roughly very close to the exact same position as it was on the other side of the fuselage. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Sharpie marker, and I'm going to trace along the bottom of this with a Sharpie, and then I'll pull this off, and then I'll lay down my cut tape right on that Sharpie line all the way down. And then I'll get my sheets of vinyl, put it over top of the cut tape, stick the vinyl down, and then cut it just like I had done the other side. So the pattern on this side of the fuselage will match the other side, be almost exact. So that's what I'm going to do next, is Sharpie marker and then run my cut tape down on top of the marker. Talk to you guys later. Howdy everyone. So I'm back on the left side of the airplane, and I just finished up the other side of the fuselage doing the white like you see here. And both sides are done now, and I'm going to move on to my next color. So here's my plan. So I want the other color to come down and overlap the white, but of course I want to keep this same general shape for the transition between the two colors. So my plan is to do this. I've yet again pulled back the protective cover and taped it in place. I'm not going to pull these protective covers off until after I get the plane moved out to the hangar. So since I know the vinyl, this top vinyl is going to overlap the white, I need to pull down the protective cover just like I had done on the wings. Moved it out of the way, taped it down. I'm going to use my cut tape, and I think I'm going to try to lay the edge of the cut tape right along the edge of the white, on top of the white, but lined up with the edge. The actual cut filament that's in this tape is not right on the edge itself. So if I put the edge of the tape on the edge of the white, the actual cut will be below that, and that will give me an overlap. And if I do that for this whole length, then that will give me a uniform overlap all the way down. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I think I'm going to try to line up the edge of the tape on top of the white, and then the actual filament then will be down over the white and will give me a nice uniform overlap. And again, I've already got the protective cover out of the way. So that's my plan. Let me see how that works, and I'll talk to you guys later. Howdy, everyone. Okay, so I'm back to doing some vinyl work out here in the shop, and I think I've already talked about how I'm going to have seams. So I'm going to have the next color come down over top of this color. So there will be an overlap, so there will be a bit of a seam, and since this is going to lay over top of the white, I had to peel back the protective cap and tape it down. That way this film, this vinyl, is sitting on top of this vinyl, and it's not sitting on top of the protective cap. You can imagine if you overlap the vinyl and then you come to pull the protective cap off and it's stuck between the pieces. So got this pulled back, got it taped down out of the way, and now I'm ready for the next piece of vinyl. And I've started on that on the other side. So let's come around here. So it's going to be hard to see, but I should have filmed this earlier. But anyway, if you can imagine, the white is up underneath here, and there's the edge of the white here, and then below that is where I put the cut tape. So the cut tape is on top of the white vinyl, about a 1/4 inch down from the edge, in the same shape as the white. So now when I have the gray come down over top, when I cut it, the gray will overlap the white about a 1/4 inch. So there'll be a seam all along this ridge. And again, up underneath here, I've got the white protective cap pulled down and taped, and the cut tape is actually on the actual vinyl. This gray will overlap, it will get cut with the cut tape, and then the gray will overlap the white about a 1/4 inch. And of course the protective cap will be out of the way, it won't be trapped in between the layers. So this is my first piece of gray, and what I'm going to do is, if I can come back over onto this other side, there's a seam between the aluminum pieces right here where this row of rivets is. So this piece of aluminum overlaps this piece of aluminum, so there's a ridge right here, and this ridge runs all the way down, and then there's another ridge here. So this front piece overlaps this piece, and there's a ridge here. So on the other side, that first piece of gray is going to sit inside of these ridges. So it's going to sit inside of these ridges here, and then the next piece will overlap it. And the main reason I'm doing it that way is because it's easy to do. It's going to be easy to trim. And that piece will basically fit inside of here. And when I overlap it, there won't be as much of a gap to take up, because this piece is going to kind of be recessed inside of these aluminum overlaps. So I hope that makes sense. But anyway, back to the other side. So I'm starting on this piece, and I'm treating this piece like I did the wing. I've got it temporarily taped in place just to hold it, and I'm pulling the back off as I do it. So rather than pull the back off of this whole piece and having the whole piece sticky on the back side, potentially collecting dust and dog fur and who knows what, just like I did on the wings and every other piece, I pull the protection out from underneath it as I go, that the protective back. I just kind of unroll that a couple inches at a time as I work my way forward, smoothing it out and knocking out the bubbles as I go. And that works really well. It's very easy. You can do it by yourself. And there are no air bubbles. I mean, as you gradually pull this back a couple inches at a time, as you smooth it down, it automatically works out the air. So it works out really well. So let me continue to put this piece in place, and then I'll come back and I'll show you what I was talking about with trimming and the seams and things like that. All right, talk to you guys later.